All right, off we go. It's the Ryan Hartson Show on BWC Internet Radio. I'm Ryan Hartson. On the program today, some good stuff from the Eastern Conference Finals as Corey and I flip-flop assignments, if you will. I'll be talking Bulls Heat. Corey will have Oklahoma City Dallas up for you shortly. That'll be exciting. He'll do a much better job than I usually do because that series is much more about X's and O's, much more about stuff that he knows about almost in a different way than I do. So that'll be good to hear from him on the other series. So now we kind of shift back to the East, Miami, Chicago. Game 4 now in Miami. We'll get you ready for that. It's wow, what a series this has been. Think all the way back to Game 1 and the I almost don't want to use the word emotion, but think about the emotion you had after Game 1. Or the reaction, that's better. The reaction that you had after Game 1. Mine was, wow. Yeah, we knew that was going to happen, right? I saw that coming. I felt better about the Bulls after Game 1 than I did at any point in the playoffs. I think that was just because they won. And, I had a hard time. I almost wanted to say the Heat were just going to sweep them, but obviously that wasn't going to happen. So, but seeing them win a game was, it made me almost feel better about the Bulls a little bit. But then when Miami won in Game 2, it was like, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. After both games, it was like, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Even after Game 1, I felt better about the Bulls, but I was still like, yeah, but Miami's going to come back. Because at the end of the day, Miami's just better. And they are. And Miami takes care of Game 2, takes care of Game 3, and after the Game 3, it's just like, it's over. I think the series is over. I think both of these series, especially after Dallas in that unbelievable overtime last night, you can honestly say both series are over. I think, as soon as Sunday's game ended, it was just like, done. The Bulls are done. I don't think they're going to win another game in this series. There's not a lot to talk about here anymore. Because I've been saying the same thing about the Bulls for 2 months, and it's not because I can't think of anything new to say. It's because there is nothing new to say. The Bulls still play great defense. They're still a better rebounding team than Miami is, but they can't score points. They cannot generate offense at all. They have no rhythm on offense. Derrick Rose is inefficient and turnover prone at times, and the more and more I watch this series go on, and nobody really wants to say it, but as it keeps going and going, you just keep getting the feeling maybe this guy really isn't as good as we think he is. Athletically, he's unbelievable. Is he one of the 5 best players in the NBA? Absolutely not. I would put Dirk ahead of him. I'd put Durant ahead of him. I would put LeBron and Dwayne Wade way ahead of him. If you wanted me to do this right now, your best players in the NBA are LeBron and Dwayne Wade, 1 and 2, 2 and 1. You could put them in whatever order you want to. Dwayne Wade, LeBron, and Dwayne Wade. I don't care. It's like the top of the quarterbacks list. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Put them whatever order you want. They're 1 and 2. And then you get to 3, which is, who have I had at 3? I've had the same guy at 3. I've had Kobe at 3 for a really long time. It's probably not anymore. It's probably Dwight Howard. You'd probably say Dwight Howard's that 3rd best player in the NBA. 4th, I find it very hard to keep Dirk out of my top 5 now after this brilliant playoff run. Is he the best player in the NBA? No. He's a little too old to become one of the best players in the NBA. So I'll give Kobe 4, right there. And then 5, you put Kevin Durant. He's been the most fun to watch in the playoffs this year. More fun to watch than any other team. Oklahoma City is fantastic. Very fun to watch. They have their own issues now. Issues that Corey will be able to address for you. But Oklahoma, and obviously they're in a lot of trouble now, but they have been just an absolutely fantastic watch, and I don't think you can be ashamed with going out in the Western Conference Finals after what a great run they've had. They've been excellent to watch this year. They've been a fantastic watch all season long. Whenever they're on TV, I have to get in front of the television because I know Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook are going to do something amazing. So they've been fantastic. Durant's the fifth best player in the NBA. So LeBron, D. Wade, Dwight Howard, Kobe, Kevin Durant, And then 6, I'm going to put Dirk 6. And then Rose would probably have to be 7. I mean, you can't put him, and I would put maybe a Chris Paul ahead of him at 7. Maybe Carmelo Anthony at 8. I always forget people doing this. You know, I don't know where, but I mean, he is starting to fall for me. After winning the league MVP, he was excellent in the regular season. Not as good as LeBron was. LeBron had a better regular season than Derrick Rose did. Statistically, it's not even close. Now, Derrick Rose was by far the better closer in the regular season, but Derrick Rose hasn't closed those games in the postseason. It's been LeBron. But Derrick Rose, he had more signature wins, and his resume was better for MVP type stuff. MVP type stuff, most valuable player. We kind of forget what it means. Sometimes we think MVP, best player on the best team. No. If you take, to me, MVP, you take that guy off of his team, and that team is crap, right? Tom Brady not on the Patriots this year. He was the MVP. Imagine Tom Brady not on this Patriots team with the 22nd or so best defense in the league. They're 5-11. They're a joke. Peyton Manning off of the Colts. They're a 3-13 team every single year. They're the Lions. The Saints off, or Drew Brees off the Saints. Horrible, right? But then you start making arguments for other guys like the Steelers could win without Roethlisberger. I believe the Packers could win without Aaron Rodgers. You would have some teams that don't fall into that, as teams in the NBA do. However, Derrick Rose off of the Bulls would be much different than LeBron off the Heat. You take LeBron off the Heat, and then you still have Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. That's still a 55-win team, right? Like, nothing changed. Or maybe you go down to around more of a 500 squad. You never know. But they play phenomenal defense, and you would think, you wouldn't know there. But the Bulls would be terrible if you didn't have Derrick Rose. The Bulls would be a joke. Seriously, the Bulls would have won 25 games this year if Derrick Rose isn't on the floor all 82 games. Okay, and that's what made him the MVP of the league. But now in the playoffs, when the heat is turned up, and you've got all these fantastic teams that are all of a sudden playing harder than they did in the regular season, LeBron is playing better than he did in the regular season, all these great teams are coming at you. Even the mediocre teams are playing as hard, if not harder than you. All of a sudden, it's a different scenario. And Derrick Rose just is not the same player. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it happened. But he is inefficient and turns the ball over far too much. That is where he's at. Only 2 turnovers in the last game, didn't quite have that. However, he has had a ton of 7-turnover games in this postseason. Way too many for me. This Bulls team cannot beat the Heat. They cannot beat the Heat in any capacity. In my view, they are not going to win another game in this series. Derrick Rose is having a hard enough time, and the rest of the team is a joke on offense. Yeah, they play great defense. That's why it's going to be a close game. But when the lights are shining brightest in the fourth quarter, it's going to be LeBron James, and LeBron James alone, that is going to make the plays. He has been closing out games in this series. He was closing out games against Boston. He's a legit closer now. And he's kind of always been, but for some reason he got that tag that he wasn't a closer, which I've never really understood. But now we're in a position to see the Heat really put the pressure on the Bulls. And if you win this Game 4, you're up 3-1, going back to Chicago. I think the Bulls are done. I think the Heat are just too much for them. Back for Game 5 in the United Center, I can't see the Bulls winning another game in this series. And I honestly, and I'm going to be back tomorrow and Thursday talking about this series due to Corey has some things he needs to attend to that he can't get at his show the next couple days. So I'll be back tomorrow. And if the Bulls win, I will, I will be completely shocked. I think Miami is going to take care of business in the next game and in Game 5 and close out this series. And I would be absolutely shocked if the Bulls won another game. They have so many struggles on offense. Derrick Rose, inefficient, turnover prone. Derrick Rose needs to be a more efficient scorer. He has to make more shots. More of the shots that he takes, he needs to take better shots. He needs to drive the lane a little bit more. For a guy that drove the lane the entire regular season, he hasn't driven the lane as much in this postseason, which I can't understand. That's like, dude, that's your entire game is based on driving the lane, and you're sitting there jacking up threes when you can't make a three to save your soul. And he's been a bad three-point shooter his entire career, even in college. And all of a sudden you're going to start making threes. I mean, and if he gets hot from behind the line, it's over because of how really good the rest of his game is. But that game's not there against this Miami team. This Miami team, people say Derrick Rose is indefensible. Apparently not, because they're defending the hell out of him in this series. They have answers for Derrick Rose. They're keeping the defense is staying in front of him. They're getting physical with him, not allowing him to drive the lane, which might be the reason why he's not. And I've heard him say in interviews for this game, he said, listen, I'm just going to split the double team and drive the lane the entire game, which I think he absolutely has to do. He has to score 50 points to win a game in this series. Well, that was probably a little extreme. He has to score 40 points to win this game tonight, because LeBron, I'm confident LeBron's going to come out on fire tonight, as is Dwayne Wade and Bosh. Bosh is the wild card. I mean, after that last game, when Bosh played spectacularly, scoring 34 points, you're thinking, oh, wow, he's a legit player. But you think, he has one of those, but then he'll go out and have a clunker the next game. You don't know what you're going to get from him. Now, I would say playing that well in a championship scenario bodes well for Miami, because all of a sudden your third best player, allegedly, is coming out and playing like it. That's extremely positive. And so I think when you have Bosh that could potentially play like that, Dwayne Wade and LeBron can always play better. D-Wade has not played well in this series yet. I believe he will tonight. And LeBron will get it done when it has to get done, because he is on a total mission this year. This is LeBron's year, ladies and gentlemen. This is the year LeBron James is going to win an NBA championship. I'm completely confident of that. I'll pick Miami in a series against Dallas any day. I just think you cannot beat this guy this year. With the cast he has around him, he finally has the players that he needs, and he can just pick and choose his spots and just take over. I mean, that's ultimately that is what LeBron James' game is. Bring the ball up the court, pass the ball when necessary, and pick and choose his spots. And when he picks and chooses, he chooses extremely well, and he goes and he just kicks ass. So when he decides to turn it on, like Michael used to, he gets it done. He just completely gets it done, and he's better at it than any other player in the NBA, and that's why he's the best. And people are still pissed at him for leaving Cleveland. It's unbelievable. You fans are crazy. By the way, I have a segment about that. Oh yeah. I have a segment about that. Just quickly to wrap this up, the Bulls are done. The Heat are going to win the next two games in this series, and that's the end of it. Quickly, though, I do want to go and talk about something else. Two segments today for you. I've got the Joakim Noah story about him calling a fan a not-so-nice word has brought a variety of reactions from me, and I'll give them to you next. It's the Ryan Hartson Show on BWC Internet Radio.